Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon. I can see that there are still just a few more people filing in virtually to the session. So before we make a proper start, I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. If I can ask if you just type the word yes into the Q&A box that you can see on your screen, that would be really helpful, just so I know that I'm not speaking into the ether and that some of you out there can hear me. Wonderful, that's great, thank you so much. Lots of yeses coming in there, so always a good start when the technology is working from the beginning. My name is Hannah Griffiths. I'm one of the recruitment and admissions managers at the Saïd Business School. I'm delighted that so many of you have been able to dial in today from all across the world to learn a little bit more about the Oxford MBA. This is usually the time of year when our team would be heading out on our travels, heading to different parts of the world and running these information sessions in person and getting to meet some of you guys and tell you a little bit more about the programme. So it's really nice that despite the travel restrictions that we all have on us at the moment, that we're still able to connect with you all, and we'll look forward to hopefully providing you with a good overview of the Oxford MBA this afternoon. In the next hour, I'll give an overview of the one-year Oxford MBA and our course curriculum. I'll talk about our application requirements and process, try to give you an idea of who we are looking for on the Oxford MBA. I'll also talk a little bit about our stage deadlines and what you can expect in terms of the application. And I'll focus a little bit on our cohort and on the Oxford experience. There will hopefully be some time at the end of the session to answer some questions. So do please feel free to send those through via the Q&A button as we're moving through the presentation. I won't get to them until we get to the end of the presentation, but do send them through as you think of them as we're moving along, and I'll try my best to answer some of those before we finish up this afternoon. So in a world, as I said, where our travel is currently very limited, I'm going to attempt to transport you all virtually now to the beautiful city of Oxford. I'm aware that we have a really global audience this afternoon, and that there'll be some of you who will be familiar with the city of Oxford, who may have visited before, and you may also be familiar with Oxford University. You can obviously see on the slide here some of the very famous Oxford University colleges, and some of the most famous buildings attached to Oxford University. You can see the Radcliffe camera right at the front of the image on your screen here. But I'm aware that there'll also be lots of people who dialed in who maybe haven't visited Oxford before and aren't as familiar with the university structure and the college system. So I want to touch on that a little bit to start. And then as we move through the presentation, we'll talk a little bit more about the Oxford experience and what that can add to the Oxford MBA. So for those of you who are maybe not so familiar with the university system, Oxford University is made up of departments and colleges. So the Saïd Business School, where you would come to do your Oxford MBA, is one of the university departments. So we are the department that runs the university's business programs. And so if you were to join the Oxford MBA class, you obviously become a member of the business school. But in addition to that, you'll also become a member of one of the university's colleges. So for the year that you're with us in Oxford, you'll have that dual membership, so of the business school and also of one of the university colleges. Your college membership will allow you access to everything that you can see here on the screen, but so much more in addition to that. And as I said, as we move through the presentation this afternoon, we'll talk a little bit more about that Oxford experience and what it can add to the one-year Oxford MBA if you were to come and join us. So for those of you who maybe have come and visited us at the campus before, this may be a building that you are familiar with. So this is the Saïd Business School, and this is where you will spend the majority of your academic life for the year that you're with us on the Oxford MBA. It's where you'll spend your 9 to 5 each day, potentially longer on certain days, depending on what co-curriculars you might be involved in. Business school is certainly one of the newer university departments, and I think you can see from the change in architectural style that we see ourselves very much as a modern and forward-thinking department of the university. So as I said, this is where you'll spend the majority of your day-to-day life if you're on programme with us on the Oxford MBA. So it's where you'll come every day to have your lectures in some of our lecture theatres. It's where you may choose to do some of your study each day in our library, which you can see on the first floor here. It's also where you'll socialise, have lunch, coffee with other members of the cohort. And also where you'll participate in some of our co-curricular offers as well, and where you'll engage with our careers team, who are also based on site here at the business school. The business school is really conveniently located, so it's very central in Oxford and right beside the train station, which means that you have very easy access to London. So Oxford is just under an hour's train ride from London. So obviously in terms of career opportunities, that proximity to London is something that is really important for students when they join us on the Oxford MBA. Our programme is a one-year programme, which I've mentioned already, and I touched on in the last slide the amount of time that you'll spend each day with us at the business school itself. And I suppose that's an important thing to flag in terms of the programme being a one-year programme. It is a really intense year, a really busy year. If any of you dialed in have connected with any of our alumni or have heard them speak about their experiences of the programme, this is something that they'll certainly attest to. And so it's good just to make you aware of that from the beginning. There's obvious benefits to doing a one-year MBA, some of which are listed here on the slide. And I think for anybody dialed in who's maybe in the early stages of considering an MBA, that is a really important place to start when you're considering an application. It's a conversation that we will regularly have with applicants. You know, and that conversation will often cover things like people's career goals, what your motivations are in pursuing an MBA. And sometimes based on those conversations, we may advise that a 2-year MBA may make more sense for particular candidates. The 1-year option isn't right for everybody. So it's a really good starting point to give some consideration to what you're looking to get out of an MBA, where you're looking for the MBA to get you to, and being really certain that a 1-year programme really aligns with that and will offer you everything that you need to get you to where you're looking to go post MBA. So with that in mind, I want to focus a little bit on the Oxford MBA curriculum for the next few slides and hopefully give you all a feel for what you can expect from our programme, and also show you that despite being a 1-year programme, the Oxford MBA does include everything that you would anticipate finding on a 2-year programme. So our curriculum is designed to provide a solid foundation in core business principles, and that happens on the curriculum through our 8 core courses that you'll study in majority of in your first semester on programme with us. We're also very focused on developing a broad mindset and helping our students to understand what the role of business in society is. The wide range of elective courses that we offer and the integrative modules that you'll participate in as you move through the programme ensure that we're able to do that. And we also really want to provide you with the opportunity to explore the intersection between traditional business and society on the Oxford MBA. One of our main aims on the programme is to create leaders who can influence and who can drive change in the future. And so that applied learning element that you see on the end of the slide here is a really important part of the curriculum and how it's structured. So you'll get an idea here of what you can anticipate your year in Oxford looking like from an academic perspective. The first thing that you'll notice on the slide here is the influence of the business school being embedded in the wider university, and you can see that from the unusual names that the different semesters have. So our first 3 semesters have very traditional Oxford University titles: Michaelmas, Hilary and Trinity. The business school is one of the few university departments that actually has a 4th semester as part of the programme. So the Oxford MBA is 1 full year, so a full 12 months. So we do have a summer semester included in the programme as well. So in the first semester, or Michaelmas as we like to refer to it, you'll see that the focus is on the mandatory core courses, which are listed in red here on the slide. And these really cover the fundamentals of business and are probably what you would anticipate finding on any MBA programme that you were looking into pursuing. As you move into Hilary term and Trinity term, you begin to see the opportunity that you'll have to personalise and tailor your Oxford MBA experience through the elective offer. So you'll have the opportunity to do a minimum of 7 electives on the Oxford MBA, and we'll have the opportunity to do slightly more by adding 2 additional electives in the summer semester if that's something that appeals to you. There's a huge range available in terms of the elective offer, and there's more information about this on our website if you are looking to get a clearer picture of what the offer includes. But they range from things like supply chain management to corporate valuation to doing business in China, just to name but a few. So they really do give you the opportunity to tailor and focus the programme to ensure that you're working towards the goals that you're looking to achieve on the Oxford MBA. The second semester also sees the introduction of the 2 mandatory projects that you'll complete on the Oxford MBA. So the first of those is the Go-To project, which is Global Opportunities and Threats Oxford. And this project is really a great example of how the Oxford MBA really allows you to explore that intersection between traditional business and society, which, as I've said, is one of the core focuses of the programme. So essentially with Go-To, there's an overarching theme each year, and that theme is what we see as a global scale problem. So for this year's class, the theme was climate change. Within that topic, or whatever the chosen topic is that year, there are a number of different tracks that you can take, and based on the track that you choose, you'll then be entered into a small group with other MBA students who are keen to focus on the same track within that wider theme as you are. You'll then work with that group and with the tutor who will be supporting you, and you'll essentially look to identify the issues facing business in relation to the track that you have chosen, and ultimately look to come up with some solutions to those issues. And the project will then culminate in you and your team presenting one of the solutions that you've identified to this problem. The second MBA project that you will also participate in is the entrepreneurship project. So again, this involves working in a small group of other MBA students and gives you the opportunity to come up with a business venture, develop a business plan, and ultimately then pitch that idea to a panel, including some potential investors. The entrepreneurship project is obviously something that will appeal to any of you who are already entrepreneurs or who are keen to moving into that space post MBA. It's often something that students will use as a test bed for an idea that they maybe already have coming onto the MBA. We also get students who aren't coming from an entrepreneurial background and who don't really have any keen interest into moving into that space afterwards. But even if that is the case, I think all of the students who go through the project would agree that the soft skills that you'll develop just by going through the process of completing the project are invaluable. And so it's something that every student can gain from. As you move into the summer semester, you'll see that there's a number of different options that you can take. So as I've mentioned, you have the opportunity to add some additional electives in the summer semester if that appeals to you. You also have the opportunity to do an internship for credit in the summer semester. So if you are somebody who is hoping to use the MBA to maybe make a pivot into a different sector, the internship may appeal to you if you're looking to maybe get some hands-on experience in that space. You also have the opportunity to complete a strategic consultancy project in the summer semester again. So that involves working with a small group of other MBA students and essentially going to a company and doing a piece of consultancy work for that company within your small group. So again, maybe if you're somebody who's looking to get some hands-on experience of doing some consultancy work, if that's not the background that you're coming from, then the SCP may be something that appeals to you. The curriculum is complemented by the co-curricular offer that we have available. You can see some of those options listed on the slide here. So our different lab options, the finance lab, impact lab, and creative destruction lab, which was new to the program this year. Also our consulting development program, which is one of the programs that's run by our career development centre across the academic year, and also complemented by our talent development program. So this is also run by our Career Development Centre and will provide you with the opportunity to dip in and out of different soft skills workshops, depending on the aspects of your skill set that you're keen to develop during the year on programme. So sessions that they run may be focused on things like negotiation skills, presentation skills, having difficult conversations in the workplace. And so you can really look at the offer that's available and pick and choose the sessions that you'd like to engage with and be involved with as you move through the academic year. One of the questions that were regularly asked in relation to the programme being a one-year programme is if there's still the opportunity for study abroad or for international travel for the year that you're on the Oxford MBA, and that comes in the form of our international elective offer. So of the 7 electives that you are able to choose, you do have the option to choose one of the international electives as one of those. We currently offer 3, and they'll usually run in between Hilary and Trinity term. The first of those, and one which tends to be the most popular with our MBA cohort, is the Growth Prospects and Opportunities for Business in Africa, which has taken place in South Africa for the past few years. So with all of the international electives, essentially you and a group of about 50 MBA students will travel to the country where the elective is taking place, have the opportunity to visit different companies in that country, meet different thought leaders, and have different classes focused on, with the Africa elective, growth prospects and opportunities there. We also run a fintech focused elective that takes place in London each year. So not particularly international from our perspective, but considering how internationally diverse our cohort is, we still count it as an international elective option. And then third, we have an elective which runs in New York each year, and that one has a focus on digital marketing. So in addition to giving you a feel for what you can expect in terms of the curriculum, I want to spend a little bit of time now focusing on the Oxford class profile and try to give you an idea of who you might expect to find in the Oxford MBA cohort if you were to join us. So our current class has 329 students. The class size tends not to change too much on the Oxford MBA, so we will always have a class that's in and around that size. We are limited really in terms of how large we can make the class, just due to the size of the lecture theatres that we have available at the business school. So it will never really be much bigger than that current class size of 329. As you may anticipate from an MBA that's UK or European based, the Oxford MBA is extremely diverse in terms of nationality mix. So you can see from the slide here that 95% of the MBA class are international students, and we'll take a look in a second at where exactly in the world those students come from. We are very proud of the fact that 44% of our current class are female. This is something that we're obviously extremely focused on. We have a women's initiative at the business school, and we are very, very focused on trying to increase this percentage annually if we can, and working towards that magical 50-50 split and having gender parity on the cohort. The final two figures that you'll see on the slide here in relation to work experience and GMAT, they are averages. So I think they're important to highlight in terms of giving you an overview of what you may expect the class to be like, but I do want to flag that they are just averages, and so we do have a broader range in relation to both of those things if you were to look at the cohort with a little bit more granularity. So we'll talk a little bit about application requirements further on in the presentation, but I think it is important to flag that if you're somebody who's dialed in and you maybe currently have 2 years work experience, or you're somebody who has a GMAT that is not quite at 690, and so you're thinking, oh, there's not much point in applying based on this, please don't take that perspective. So as I said, these are just averages, and we'll talk a little bit more about the application process and application requirements a little bit further on in the presentation. So I touched on international diversity a moment ago. I know that's a really important point that people will take into consideration when looking at a UK-based or European-based MBA. And you can see on the slide here the breakdown of our nationality mix on the Oxford MBA, so give you a feel for where in the world our students come from. One of the things that I think is important to flag here is that diversity in terms of nationality mix is really important. But something else that we feel very strongly about on the Oxford MBA is that diversity of thought is very important as well. We're very careful when putting the cohorts together to ensure that we have a really broad range of people in terms of background and professional experience coming on programme. We're really looking to put together a cohort that is collaborative. We are looking for people who want to contribute, who want to add to the experience of those around them, who want to benefit from the experiences of those around them. And so that diversity of thought, in addition to the international diversity that you can see here on the slide, is something that's really important to us on the Oxford MBA. Another aspect that I know will be really important to lots of you who've dialed in the afternoon and that we have this afternoon and we haven't quite touched on yet is career outcomes, and giving you an idea of how the Oxford MBA impacts our students' careers post-MBA. We have very recently released our new employment report. So for anybody dialed in who is keen to get a little bit more information on this and wants a little bit more granularity, do please go to our website and you can download our employment report there. But I think I've tried to flag on the slide here some of the more important percentages. So obviously the first of those is the percentage of our students who secure job offers within 3 months of graduation. And so for our 2018-19 class, that's now risen to 95%. Also important to highlight here the percentage of our students who go on to work in the UK or Europe post-MBA. So currently that's at just over 50%. And I think at the bottom of the slide, you'll see the range of industries that our students go into post-MBA. And I think this is probably testament to what I was just touching on in relation to diversity of thought. You can see on the slide here that there's a really wide range of sectors that our students will go on to work in after graduation. And I think that's possibly connected to the fact that we are relatively sector agnostic on the Oxford MBA. And so the figures that you see here will really support that. They'll support that what I've said earlier about the broad range of professional experiences and backgrounds that our students come from. And so then it's probably, you know, telling that they go into quite a broad range of industries post-graduation as well. I mentioned our Career Development Centre earlier when I mentioned our talent development programme that they run, but just to give you a little bit more information, because obviously the Career Development Centre will play a huge part in your MBA experience. So our team is divided into 3 smaller teams, and each of those teams have a specific sector focus. So we have a team that focus on finance, a team focused on consultancy, and a team focused on global industry. And then within each of those teams, there will be people who have a specific focus on social impact roles within those different spaces. So each of these teams will provide common support in all areas, which you can see on the red and yellow circles at the bottom of the slide. But they'll of course also have excellent industry knowledge, experiences and networks across their specific sector. And both of these things combined will ensure that the team can provide excellent support and guidance in terms of developing your skill set across the academic year, and also supporting you in looking to get to where you want to go post MBA. The career development team at the business school are amazing, and they will really add to your MBA experience. I would always flag at this point the importance of engaging with the Career Development Centre. You know, in terms of the support that they offer, they will start to reach out to students about 3 months in advance of you actually starting the programme, and will do a lot of prep work with you in advance, as well as then obviously supporting you through the academic year, and then continuing to support you for, I think it's about 6 months once you graduate from the Oxford MBA. So it's a full 21-month service that they offer. The onus is still on you to ensure that you get to where you're looking to go. So the Career Centre are there, as you said, to support you and guide you, but you do need to engage with them. You need to bring your ideas to them, you know, go to the events and sessions that they run. They will support you and do all that they can to help you, but you will need to do a level of legwork as well to ensure that you can get to where you're looking to go post MBA. So we're back to the beautiful image of Oxford colleges. So I touched on this a little bit at the beginning of the presentation, but want to spend the next few slides talking a little bit about the Oxford experience. So as I've mentioned already, when you become a member of the business school, you will also have the opportunity to become a member of an Oxford college for the year that you join the Oxford MBA. So there are around 30 different colleges that you can choose from. So not all of the Oxford colleges will take MBAs, but there are about 30 that you can choose from. And you will be able to put forward a preference for the college that you would like to become a member of once you secure an offer of a place on the Oxford MBA. People will choose their college based on a really wide variety of things. It's a really individual decision, and I think will be very dependent on what you're looking to get out of your year in Oxford. Some students will be very keen to choose a college where they know that there'll be a large number of MBA students, and so really want that opportunity to build a strong network with the MBA cohort across the year that they're on programme. Other students will look at the college as an opportunity to build out a strong second network. So obviously through your college membership, you'll be able to form connections with students who are studying at a really wide range of other departments across the university. And so some MBA students will think that they would actually like to become a member of a college where maybe there are only 2 or 3 MBA students. And so they'll be put under a little bit more pressure to have conversation with, build networks with students who are studying a broader range of subjects. Some students will choose very practically and will want a college whose accommodation is based really close to the business school. Other students may choose based on a particular sport that they're keen to play while they're in Oxford, and will look for a college that they know has a good reputation in relation to that sport. So a really, really broad range of things. The one thing I would say in relation to the colleges is that there is no bad college option. And so whichever college you end up becoming a member of, they will all add to your experience, and they will all give you a really, really unique opportunity for the year that you're in Oxford. So they'll all be able to offer you the chance to attend formal dinners in their traditional dining halls. All of the colleges will have a middle common room, which is essentially kind of the social space at the college, and where you'll have that opportunity to form connections with, build networks with students who are studying a really diverse range of subjects. All of the colleges will have sports teams and societies that you'll be able to join and compete on behalf of your college. So they can all offer you an amazing experience, and it is something that is unique to the Oxford MBA, in addition to all of the opportunities that you'll get through your business school membership. You get an additional offer from your college membership. And I think that's particularly important in relation to network. So obviously building out your network at the business school is a key component of an MBA, but with Oxford, you get that opportunity to build out that second network as well, and really kind of broaden your horizons across the year that you're with us. If you are somebody who is thinking you may select a college based on their sporting prowess, or someone who's competitive by nature, then the MBATS is also something that may appeal to you. So essentially the MBATS is like a mini Olympics for business schools, where you will represent the Saïd Business School and compete against students from around 15 other business schools. It takes place in HSE Paris each year. Obviously for our current class this year, it wasn't able to run for obvious reasons. But in the 3 years prior to this year, I'm very proud to say that Saïd Business School have actually won the MBATS. So we're on a very good run of form in terms of the competition. And again, I think the MBATS is one of those things that if you do speak to any alumni who've been through the programme, it's very often the activity that they flag as one of the standout opportunities that they had across the academic year. I think they always feel that it helps to bond the cohort a little bit more, and is just a really, really unique opportunity. So for any of you dialed in who have a competitive spirit, that is an aspect of the Oxford MBA that might appeal to you as well. There are some other aspects of the Oxford experience that I just want to touch on briefly as well. So you will automatically become a member of the Oxford Union when you gain access to the business school and Oxford University. Oxford Union is the world famous debating society that the university runs. You will also have access to the distinguished speaker programs that are run. So the business school will run its own distinguished speaker program, but the university will have a program that it will also run. And being Oxford University, the gravitas that the brand holds across the world, we're really able to attract a wide array of political leaders, business leaders, sports people, actors, actresses, who you'll have the opportunity to hear speak across the academic year as well. So hopefully the first half of the presentation has given you a feel for what you can anticipate in terms of the curriculum and the cohort and some aspects of the Oxford experience. And hopefully there are lots of you who are now thinking that Oxford sounds like it might be a good fit for you, and so you want to know a little bit more about the application requirements. So just to say before I start, I'm going to speak quite briefly about the application requirements this afternoon. For those of you who are dialed in who want more information around this, we do have a specific application tips webinar and that will be running on the 1st of September. So for any of you who are dialed in who are considering submitting an application for entry in 2021, so that you're going to be starting your application across the coming months, I do recommend registering for that webinar on our website now. There'll be a lot more focus on the different application requirements and some good tips on how to submit a strong application at that session. I'm going to touch just now on the mandatory requirements for the application, which hopefully will just give you an idea of what is required. So we'll require academic transcripts of an approved undergraduate degree, and we'll look for an equivalent to a 2:1 or first-class degree in the UK system, or a GPA that's equivalent of a 3.5. The subject of your undergraduate degree doesn't matter. So we are not concerned with what subject you actually studied at your undergraduate degree, but we'll just need you to provide us with the academic transcripts for that degree as part of your application. You will need to demonstrate a minimum of 2 years full-time professional work experience on a 1-page CV as part of the application. I've mentioned already the importance for us of collaboration within the cohort and of sharing experience. And so it is important for you to demonstrate through the application that you have gained enough professional experience that you will be able to contribute to the cohort. The minimum requirement is 2 years. So if you are somebody who just about meets that requirement, you may want to think about highlighting things like leadership opportunities that you may have had, any international exposure that you've had across your career to date, and demonstrating through your CV that you've enjoyed a good level of progression across your career so far. You'll need to provide a GMAT or GRE score. This requirement cannot be waived in any circumstance. So we will quite regularly get questions from people asking about other qualifications that they have and experiences that they've had, and if this will allow them to waive the GMAT or GRE. So we don't offer that as an option. So you will be required to submit a GMAT or GRE score as part of your application. As I mentioned already, there's a broad range of GMAT and GRE scores amongst our cohort. As a guide, I would say a GMAT score of 650 would be considered competitive. The GRE equivalent of that is a combined score of about 321. So those are good guides to have in terms of looking to what to aim for in relation to the GMAT or GRE. You'll be required to provide 2 references as part of your application. These can be academic or professional, or a combination of both. We regularly get asked by applicants about the importance of having 1 academic and 1 professional. I would say the most important thing when in choosing your referees is to choose people who can write about you with a good level of detail, and who can really advocate for you. So you're looking for people who can provide good insights into what you're like to work with, the skill set that you've developed across your career to date. Sometimes with academic references, if you've been out of academia for a number of years and maybe haven't kept in close contact with tutors that you may have had, academic advisors that you had, it's not always as easy for those people to write about you with that level of detail. So rather than worrying about the balance of one or the other, I would say just choose people who you know can write about you with a good level of detail, and who can really advocate for you. You'll complete an online assessment as part of the application, and this involves 4 short verbal answers that you will video record, and 1 written question. The 4 video recorded questions, the first 2 will be motivation based, and the second 2 will be more scenario based, and the written question will then be more concept based. You'll have the opportunity to practice the online assessment before you actually come to submit for real. I would definitely recommend taking advantage of that opportunity to practice if you can. I think there's always a level of awkwardness attached to video recording yourself answering questions, so it's good to do a few practice sessions just to get rid of any awkwardness that you feel around that. The answers are also timed, so it is good to have the opportunity to ensure that you can fit your answers into the allocated time that you'll be given when it comes to doing the online assessment for real. And I would say the online assessment is really your opportunity to bring your application to life. So it's a chance to show the committee a little bit of your personality, to show them your EQ, and to really give them more of a sense of your passions and your motivations for pursuing an MBA. In addition to that, you will write a short supporting statement where you will be asked to provide some information about yourself that you feel is important for the committee to be aware of, but that you maybe haven't had the opportunity to communicate in the other aspects of the application. And then we may also need you to provide proof of your English language proficiency. So if you did not complete a degree that was taught fully in English or was taught at a university in an English-speaking country, you may need to provide an IELTS or a TOEFL score as part of your application as well. One thing that I'd flag in relation to the application is that we will review your application holistically. So a lot of the questions that we get in advance of students submitting an application are often focused around the GMAT or the GRE and concerns about, you know, their score maybe being slightly lower than the recommended competitive 650. The GMAT and GRE score is an important aspect of the application, but it's not the only aspect of the application. And we will view all of the different aspects. So there's every possibility that if you have a slightly weaker element to your application, whether that's your undergraduate degree or you're maybe at the lower end in terms of professional experience, if the committee feels that the other aspects of your application are strong, there's still every possibility that you would make it through to interview and then ultimately secure an offer of place on programme. So please don't be deterred from submitting an application if there's just one aspect of the application that you're concerned about. We will review it holistically and we'll take all of the different aspects into account. We run 4-stage deadlines across the academic year. So our first of those for entry in September 2021 will fall on the 11th of September. There's relatively little difference, I would say, between stage 1 and stage 2 when it comes to applications, and we receive a similar number of applications at both of those points. The stage 3 deadline tends to be our biggest application stage deadline. The main reason for this is because it aligns with the wider university scholarship deadline, which is something that we'll talk a little bit about on the next slide. And then stage 4 is different again in that we tend to get a much smaller number of applications at stage 4, but it's good to keep in mind that obviously having gone through 3 stages already, we will have made a large number of offers up to that point. So stage 4 tends to be a little bit more competitive. We'll make a smaller number of offers at that point, and we also will sometimes run a wait list from stage 4 as well. I would say in terms of deciding which stage deadline makes the most sense for you, go for the deadline when your application can be at its strongest. So, you know, in particular with things maybe like the GMAT or GRE, where you need to commit a period of time to preparing for them before you actually sit the exam. You know, if that means that it would make more sense for you to go for stage 2 or stage 3 and that your application would be at its absolute strongest at that point, then that's what would make the most sense. Again, if you want any guidance around which application stage deadline might make the most sense for you, do reach out to our team. We'd be very happy to do a review of your profile and maybe provide a little bit of guidance around which stage would make the most sense for you in terms of when to submit your application. I mentioned the scholarship deadline on the previous slide, and so just wanted to flag quickly the wide range of scholarship and funding options that are available for MBA applicants. There's a lot of information about this available on our website, and you can look at each of the different scholarship options and what the requirements are for each of those there. So I do recommend, if scholarship and funding is something that is a concern for you or something that's of importance for you, do take a look at our website for some more information. A number of the scholarships that you'll see on the screen here require no additional element of application. So you'll be automatically considered for those if you secure an offer of a place on programme. The scholarship process is competitive. So again, coming back to what I just said, you know, feeling confident that you're submitting your application when it's at its absolute strongest is really important if you would like to be considered for some of those scholarships. Some of the other scholarships that are listed here, like the SCOL scholarship, for example, will require an additional element of application. So sometimes that's writing an additional essay and then potentially going on to have an additional interview. And for those scholarships, it's really important that you make sure that you have your application in by the stage 3 deadline in January. So again, there'll be a lot more information about this available on the website. So do take a look there if you'd like a little bit more information around that. Also want to highlight one of our unique programme offers for any of you who are dialed in, who maybe feel like a 2-year programme would make more sense for you, and you can take 2 years away from your career potentially, and you're also excited by possibly having the opportunity to spend 2 years in academia and 2 years at Oxford University, and that is our 1+1 programme. So the 1+1 in your first year, you have the opportunity to study a master's degree at a different university department. We have a really wide range of partner programs available that you can choose from. And essentially that first year gives you the opportunity to have a particular passion for, or maybe an area that you feel will be key to enabling you to progress in your career or to make a pivot into a different sector post MBA. In the second year, you would then come and join us at the business school, where you would complete the 1-year MBA. And in that year, you would then have the opportunity to put the principles that you've learned on your MSc in your first year into practice in kind of a real world setting in that second year on the MBA. There's an excellent scholarship opportunity attached to the 1+1 programme, which is the Pershing Square Scholarship. Again, there's lots of information about this on the website, but essentially securing a Pershing Square scholarship means having your tuition and your college fees covered for the 2 years that you would be on programme in Oxford, in addition to also securing a partial living expense. It's important, if you would like to be considered for the Pershing Square Scholarship, to demonstrate that you have strong leadership potential. They're really looking for candidates that have a strong interest in addressing world-scale social challenges throughout their career. And key as well, if you would like to be considered for the Pershing Square Scholarship, is again making sure that you get your application in by the stage 3 deadline in January. Also important to flag, if you do opt to apply for the 1+1, it essentially involves completing 2 separate applications. So you will submit one application for your chosen MSc and a separate application for the Oxford MBA. And so it's important just to be aware of that. It will mean you having to do some research into the timeline for your chosen MSc. Their application process may be slightly different from the Oxford MBA application process. And in terms of your Oxford MBA application, you will write just one additional supporting statement as well, explaining why you feel the 1+1 is a good programme for you. For those of you who are interested in learning more about the 1+1 programme, because I know I've just touched on it very briefly there, we do also have a specific 1+1 webinar that's running on Tuesday the 18th of August. So if you are keen to learn more about the 1+1, about some of the partner programmes that are available, a little bit more about the application process and having to submit those 2 separate applications, and also a little bit more about Pershing Square, do register for that webinar as well. You should be able to do that on our website at the moment. So next steps, for those of you who are dialed in, who feel like, based on the information that you've heard, that the Oxford MBA might be a good fit for you, you can download a brochure from our website. please do connect with our team. So I will put our email address up at the end of the presentation for any of you listening who would like to send through your CV and have our team do a review of your profile, or if you just want to send through any questions that you have about the MBA programme or about the application process, do please reach out and connect with us. Would also really recommend connecting with our alumni. We have an amazing alumni network who are always really, really helpful in terms of connecting with prospective students and offering advice and guidance and sharing some of their experiences with you as well. As I said at the beginning, normally at this time of year, we would be traveling a bit, and we would be running different information sessions in different parts of the world, and ideally meeting a lot of you in person. Obviously, with everything that's going on at the moment, that's not an option for us, but we will be running a really wide range of virtual events across the coming months. Those will include things like taster lectures, some that will have a specific program focus, some that may have a careers focus. So do keep an eye on our website and register for any of those events. We also run a weekly Q&A session, which is a 30-minute session that's run by a member of our team, where you can essentially send through any questions that you have about the Oxford MBA or the application process, and you can hear a live voice answering those questions back. So do register for those sessions as well. In particular, if you've sent through a question today, and if I don't manage to get around to answering it, those sessions are a really great way to get some further insight into the programme and the application process. And for anybody who is thinking that potentially they would like to submit an application in the upcoming cycle, our application portal is open now, so you can actually log on and begin an application if you are keen. If you are a little bit further back in your thought process, but you feel like the Oxford MBA would be a good fit for you, now is a really good time to look at starting to prepare your GMAT or GRE. Don't underestimate it. It can be a little bit of a beast, and is worth dedicating a period of time to preparing for it before you come to sit the actual test itself. So I'm going to just pop up this quote from our Dean, Peter Tufano, and just take a quick look through some of the questions that you guys have been sending through. Thank you to everybody who has sent some through so far, and I'll try to get through a number of them in the next couple of minutes. So just bear with me as I take a look through and see if there are any common threads that have seemed to Thank you for bearing with me there, guys. There's loads of questions that have come through and I'm conscious of time. So I'm just going to try and pick out some that seem to have a common thread running through them and try to go through those. And as I said, any questions that you have sent through that I don't get to, please do reach out to our team afterwards. We'll be very happy to answer those or register for one of our upcoming Q&A sessions. So there's been a couple of questions come through about application requirements. So somebody who's asked if it's possible to submit the application in advance of completing your GMAT, and the answer to that is no. So you will have to provide a GMAT score when submitting your application, and your GMAT or GRE score does need to be one that you have secured in the past 5 years. So it won't be possible for you to submit the application without having your GMAT score available. Somebody else who's asked a question about the application in relation to the undergraduate degree, and if you have a degree that's lower than a 2-1 or a first, or the recommended GPA of 3.5, does that mean that your application would not be successful? And the answer to that is no. So as I said, we do look at applications holistically. So if you are somebody who has a lower undergraduate degree, that's not necessarily to say that your application would not be successful. There's obviously a couple of things that you can do in that case to strengthen your application. So submitting with a strong GMAT score is good in that situation. With the GMAT, GRE and undergrad, we are looking to make sure that you would be able to cope with the academic rigor of the program. So essentially one kind of balances out the other often. So if your undergrad is a little bit lower, but you have a really, really strong GMAT score, that can be a good way of getting around that. Another thing I would recommend if you are concerned about something like your undergraduate degree, the supporting statement can be a good space to sometimes acknowledge that and to maybe give committee a little bit of background. You know, if there's a particular reason why you feel you didn't perform to the best of your abilities in your undergrad, or if you just feel like you've gained a lot of experience since then, done a lot of things that are actually more representative of your skill set than your undergraduate degree, then the supporting statement is a really useful place to acknowledge that and to provide committee with a little bit more information around that. We've had some questions through as well about partners and families. So some people who have said that if they were to come to Oxford, they would be keen to come with their partner or with their family. And is that something that the colleges support? The answer to that is yes. So obviously with the age profile of people who consider doing an MBA, we get a lot of people coming on programme who would need to come with their partners and family for the year that they are coming to Oxford. Lots of the colleges do offer college or family accommodation options. So again, if that was your individual circumstance and if you secured an offer and were then looking at which colleges might be a good option for you, our team would be very happy to advise on which of the colleges have some good family accommodation available. There's also lots of support available and opportunities for family who travel with you to network and to build out their kind of own community while they're here in Oxford. We recently ran a family and partners webinar where we had a number of our alum join who had come to Oxford with their partners and sometimes with their children as well, who provided really, really useful insights into how the college and the business school supported their partners and families while they were here. So if you would be keen to have access to that webinar, do pop an email through to our team and we can send you the link. But absolutely, both the business school and the colleges welcome MBA students who are travelling with family, and there's lots of support available when it comes to that as well. Somebody here who's asking about what the admissions committee are looking for when it comes to the online assessment. I would say we are looking for your personality, essentially. I mean, the bulk of the application is text heavy, and it's not always clear what people's motivations are, why they're keen to pursue an MBA. It's also very difficult to pick up on people's kind of EQ through the written application. So the online assessment is really the opportunity just for you to show the committee your personality, what your motivations are, what your drive is. The second two questions, as I mentioned, are scenario based. So they'll be asking for you to talk about some experiences that you may have had and how you've dealt with different scenarios that you've encountered in the workplace. And so that's a really good opportunity to show some of the skill set that you've developed, but also your people skills and that kind of thing. So really just looking for your authentic personality and motivations to come through in the online assessment. Just taking a quick look to see if there are any more with a common thread. Some questions coming through here about the visa process and if we provide support with that. So the answer to that is yes. So if you were successful in securing a place on programme and you move through the next steps of choosing your college and all of those different bits and pieces, our team at the business school will be able to issue you with the CAS number that you need to submit your visa application. There's also a Central University Visa Office and we can provide you with their contact information. They can provide a lot of guidance and support around different visa requirements depending on where it is in the world that you are coming from. Just taking a look as well, a couple of questions here about age. So some people who have written in essentially kind of saying, oh, if the average age for the class is 29, if, you know, I'm 5-10 years older than that, does that again mean that my application would be rejected? Again, the answer to that is no. So with any of the averages, as I said, they're there just to give you an idea of the overall feel for the cohort, but we do have a much broader range than that when it comes to both age and professional experience on the MBA. So if you're somebody who's older than 29 and you're considering applying, please don't be put off by the fact that the average age of the class is 29. As I said, in terms of age profile and professional work experience, we're really just looking to make sure that you are someone who would be able to contribute something to the cohort given the experience that you have to date. So you may be somebody whose career has followed a less traditional path, meaning that you finished your academic degree later in life and so you've only recently gained the 4 or 5 years of work experience. We'll look at everybody's individual stories and we'll take all of that into account when reviewing your application. So no, please don't be deterred by the average age being 29. And just finally, I can see there's a couple of questions here about the online GMAT score and if that is something that we will accept as part of the application. The answer to that is yes. So obviously at the moment we're aware that a lot of the test centres are still closed in parts of the world, and so it's not possible for everybody to actually physically get to a test centre to sit their GMAT or GRE. So we will absolutely be accepting the online scores for both of those tests for people who choose to apply in the incoming cycle. I'm conscious of time and that we've just gone over the hour. Apologies to everybody who has sent through questions that I haven't managed to get through. I'll pop up on the next slide our team's email address. So as I've said, do please reach out to us. If you've listened today and you feel like the Oxford MBA would be a good fit for you, you would like us to maybe review your profile, give you some guidance on a potential application, please reach out to our team on the email address that you can see on the screen. We're really happy to help. Any questions that I haven't got to, do please register for our 30-minute Q&A sessions in the coming weeks, and either myself or one of my colleagues will have more time on those sessions to answer specific questions that are sent through. Thank you all so much for your time this afternoon. I look forward to hopefully connecting with a lot of you in the coming weeks and months, and having some of your questions come through to us. In the meantime, I hope that you all stay safe and have a lovely afternoon.